All right, welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into something pretty cool. Have you ever heard of the Cypress tree tunnel in California?
Oh, yeah. It's a pretty amazing spot.
It's one of those places that's like straight out of a fairy tale or a movie or something,
It
right?
definitely has a magical feel to it.
Yeah, but it's a real place, and we're going to deep dive into it. It's located at Point Reyes National Seashore, just north of San Francisco. And when I saw pictures of this place, I knew we had to talk about it.
It's a popular spot. And for good reason.
Okay, so first of all, for anyone who's not familiar, paint us a picture. What does Point Reyes look like, and where does this tunnel fit into it all?
So Point Reyes National Seashore, absolutely stunning. You've got dramatic cliffs, Pacific Ocean crashing against the shore, all sorts of wildlife.
I can just imagine.
And kind of tucked away in all of that, you've got this really unique cypress tree tunnel.
Right, tunnel of trees.
Uh,
How does that even happen? Was it like some magical natural phenomenon?
You know, it kind of feels magical when you're there, but it was actually planted, believe it or not. Back in the early 1930s, these Monterey cypress trees were planted, and over time,
They grew into a tunnel.
yeah, they did. And they used specific landscaping techniques to make the branches grow together and create this tunnel effect.
Wow.
It's really pretty remarkable.
That is really cool. Like, they planned for this all those years ago.
They did. It's a testament to thinking ahead and to how well these trees thrive in that environment.
So I bet just driving through it is an experience.
Oh, yeah. You're driving through this tunnel of trees, sunlight filtering in through the branches. It's almost otherworldly. It's really something.
And yeah, as you might imagine, super popular for photographers.
Oh, absolutely. You see all over Instagram and stuff, tons of photographers trying to capture that perfect shot.
But the tunnel's not just a pretty face, so to speak.
Nope, it's got a secret. Well, not really a secret anymore, but
It leads somewhere interesting.
it does. It actually leads to a historic wireless transmission station.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah?
Some history mixed in.
Yeah. And this station, it played a pretty big role in World War II, communicating with ships at sea, even some top secret missions.
Wow, so this tunnel that seems so peaceful and serene actually leads to this place with this super important history.
It's pretty amazing, right? Makes you think about all the layers of history in a place.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so before everyone packs their bags and heads to Point Reyes.
Important reminder,
Right,
be respectful visitors.
always.
This is a natural environment. We're just guests. Stick to the designated paths. Don't mess with the trees or anything like that. Got to preserve it.
For sure, for sure. Well, this has been a cool deep dive. I mean, who knew a tunnel of trees could be so fascinating, right?
Yeah, and the fact that it leads to this historic site really makes you think.
Absolutely. I'm already thinking about like a whole deep dive just on that wireless transmission station. But that's for another time.
Definitely another story for another day.
Exactly. But for now, thanks for joining us on this journey to the Cypress Tree Tunnel.
Until next time.
See you later. Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. You know we love exploring a good historical mystery, and today we're going to be diving into the world of shipwrecks. But not just any shipwrecks. These are the shipwrecks off the coast of Point Reyes National Seashore. A place of stark beauty, dramatic cliffs, swirling fog, those powerful currents. But those same elements that make it breathtaking have also spelled disaster for many a ship.
Oh, yeah, it's a notorious spot. Point Reyes, it just juts out like 10 miles into the ocean. A significant hazard, especially before you had, modern navigation.
Yeah, and that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating. We're using the National Park Service website as our guide. They have a whole section on shipwrecks at Point Reyes, and it's incredible.
Well, they call it a shipwreck graveyard, and they say before the Point Reyes Lighthouse was built in 1870, over $750,000 worth of ships and cargo were lost there.
Well, wait.
Yeah.
Over $750,000. That's a lot even now.
Oh, yeah. If you adjust for inflation, that's well over $20 million today.
Wow. That really puts it in perspective. The risks and the costs associated with sea travel back then.
Yeah, and even after they built the lighthouse, the shipwrecks continued.
It's like even with, human ingenuity, nature always finds a way to remind us who's really in charge. It's kind of a sobering thought. And the Park Service, they even mentioned that, smaller vessels like pleasure crafts, fishing boats, they still get lost out there, even with all the technology we have today.
Oh, yeah. The area remains a challenge. But what's really interesting is that these shipwrecks, they offer us more than just, tales of tragedy.
Oh, absolutely. It's like each wreck becomes a window into a specific moment in time.
Exactly, like time capsules of past lives and maritime practice.
And then the objects found within those wrecks.
Yeah.
from tools and personal belongings to the ships themselves. It helps us piece together the stories of the people who sailed these waters,
Yeah.
the challenges they faced, the technologies they employed. It's fascinating.
It really is. Even something as simple as a tool, that can offer a glimpse into daily life in a bygone era.
Right. It's a reminder that history is made up of these individual stories, not just, grand narratives.
And those individual stories are often intertwined with larger historical trends. For example, like studying the construction of shipwrecks can reveal how shipbuilding techniques and technologies evolved over time.
So by diving into these shipwrecks, we're not just uncovering individual stories, but we're also tracing the evolution of maritime technology
Yeah.
and understanding how it shapes the course of history.
Exactly. And there are some truly compelling stories to be found in those depths. The Park Service website highlights several, but two that really stand out, the Samoa and the Richfield. Each one tells a very different story about the perils of Point Reyes.
Okay, let's start with the Samoa.
Yeah.
I read that it was a steamer carrying lumber that ran aground in 1913. And the Park Service website describes this thick fog rolling in, the ship striking the rocks, and the desperate cries of the crew. It must have been a terrifying experience.
Oh, it sounds harrowing. But what's remarkable is the rescue effort, the U.S. Life Saving Service, the precursor to the modern Coast Guard.
Yeah, I read they used a breeches buoy to save the crew. What exactly is that?
It might sound archaic now, but it was an ingenious invention. They would shoot a line from the shore to the stranded ship. Then a canvas sling called a breeches was attached to the line, and people were pulled ashore one by one. A lifeline, quite literally.
Wow, that's incredible to think they were able to pull off such a daring rescue in those conditions. It really speaks to the bravery and ingenuity of those rescuers.
It does. And in the case of the Samoa, a resounding success. All 21 men on board were saved with no serious injuries or loss of life.
That's amazing. A real testament to the human will to survive and the dedication of those who risk their lives to save others. Now, the Richfield, that one seems to have a different kind of drama surrounding it.
Yeah, the Richfield was much larger, a massive oil tanker carrying 25,000 barrels of gasoline when it ran aground in 1930. The potential for disaster was enormous. Oh, wow. 25,000 barrels of gasoline. An explosion could have been devastating.
Catastrophic, both in terms of human life and environmental impact. Luckily, the Coast Guard was able to evacuate the crew, quickly preventing any loss of life.
That's a relief. But what about all that gasoline?
They brought in a tugboat to pump the remaining gasoline off the wreck, averted what could have been a massive explosion and environmental disaster. Interestingly, the Park Service website mentions that onlookers were actually anticipating an explosion.
There was a sort of morbid fascination with these events back then.
I guess it goes to show how perspectives on these kinds of events have changed over time. We've become much more aware of the environmental consequences.
Yeah,
And thankfully much more proactive in preventing them.
indeed. The contrast between the Samoa and the Richfield highlights the evolution of maritime safety and our understanding of the environmental stakes involved.
It seems like each shipwreck offers its own unique set of lessons, not just about maritime history,
Yeah.
but also about human ingenuity
Courage.
and our evolving relationship with the natural world.
Yeah. And that's just scratching the surface. There's so much more to explore. The Park Service website features a section called Point Reyes Record Then and Now. They juxtapose historic photos of shipwrecks with modern-day images taken from the same locations.
I was just looking at those. It's amazing to see how those locations have changed, or in some cases stayed remarkably the same. Those photos really bring history to life.
They do. They allow us to visualize these events against the backdrop of this beautiful but unforgiving coastline. And they invite us to imagine ourselves standing on those same cliffs, looking out at the sea, contemplating the stories these wrecks hold. It's a powerful way to connect the past and present.
It is, and it makes you wonder what other stories lie hidden beneath those waves just waiting to be discovered.
Exactly. Each shipwreck is a piece of a larger puzzle, a clue that helps us piece together a more complete picture of the past. And sometimes those clues lead us to unexpected discoveries and profound insights.
So what else can we learn from these submerged stories? I'm eager to delve deeper into this maritime world.
As we've been discussing these shipwrecks, I've been struck by the fact that these tragedies, they often spark a sense of wonder and curiosity in us. It's a strange paradox, isn't it?
I know what you mean. There's definitely a sense of tragedy, but also this pull towards the mystery. It's like these submerged relics. They offer a tangible connection to the past, like a portal to a bygone era that we can almost reach out and touch.
And that's something the National Park Service website captures beautifully. They refer to shipwrecks as moments of maritime history captured by fate. It's such a poetic way of framing it. And it really speaks to that intersection of tragedy and intrigue.
It does, and it makes you think about the countless stories these wrecks could tell if only they could speak. Stories of adventure, hardship, human ambition, and the enduring power of the sea. All those lives, those journeys frozen in time.
And that's what makes shipwrecks such rich sources of historical information. They're not just piles of wood and metal at the bottom of the ocean. They're frozen narratives waiting to be pieced together.
It's like a giant jigsaw puzzle, isn't it?
Oh.
Each artifact recovered, whether it's a simple tool or a piece of the ship's structure, it helps us understand the lives of the people who sailed these waters and the challenges they faced.
That's a great analogy. And it brings us back to something you mentioned earlier, the historical value of even the most seemingly mundane objects. What might seem ordinary to us today could be incredibly insightful for understanding daily life in the past.
Exactly. Imagine a sailor's personal belongings.
Yeah.
The tools they used for their trade, even the food they ate. These things can paint such a vivid picture of their world and the social and economic conditions of the time.
It's like stepping back in time. And don't forget the shipwrecks themselves. Studying their construction can tell us so much about shipbuilding techniques and technologies of different eras. It's like having a window into the evolution of maritime engineering.
You know, it's almost like a hands-on history lesson.
Yeah.
But underwater.
Exactly. And the fascinating thing is, these lessons aren't just for historians and archaeologists. Shipwrecks hold valuable insights for marine engineers, environmental scientists, even artists and writers who draw inspiration from the mysteries of the deep.
So it's truly interdisciplinary. The study of shipwrecks bridges the gap between science, history, and art in a way that few other subjects can.
Absolutely. And it's a field that's constantly evolving as new technologies allow us to explore shipwrecks in greater detail and uncover even more hidden stories. It's a reminder that our understanding of the past is always evolving as we discover new evidence and reinterpret old narratives.
It makes you wonder what future discoveries might reveal.
Okay.
But as exciting as those potential discoveries are, I think it's important to remember that these shipwrecks, while historically significant, also serve as pregnant reminders of the human cost of maritime exploration and trade.
That's a crucial point. Behind every shipwreck, there are stories of lost courage and the indomitable spirit of those who ventured out onto the open sea. It's essential to approach these sites with respect and sensitivity, acknowledging the lives that were lost and the impact these events had on families and communities.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that history is not just a collection of dates and facts, but a tapestry of human experiences, both triumphant and tragic. And by studying these shipwrecks, we're not just uncovering the past, we're connecting with the stories of real people who lived, worked, and sometimes perished on these very waters.
It's a powerful realization, isn't it? And it underscores the importance of preserving these sites for future generations, not just as historical relics, but as memorials to the human spirit and the enduring relationship between humanity and the sea.
I couldn't agree more. Speaking of preserving these sites, I'm curious about the role of the National Park Service in protecting these underwater treasures. We're talking about the historical value of shipwrecks, but how are they actually protected?
That's an excellent question. And it's something the National Park Service takes very seriously. Remember how the website described shipwrecks as archaeological sites? Well, that means they're protected under federal law, much like any other historical site on land.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. So it's not just about leaving the wrecks undisturbed. There are actual legal measures in place to safeguard them.
Exactly. The National Park Service works to prevent looting and vandalism, and they often restrict access to certain wreck sites to ensure their preservation for research and educational purposes. They also collaborate with archaeologists and marine scientists to study and document these sites, creating detailed records and even 3D models to help preserve their history for future generations.
It's like creating a digital archive of these underwater museums. And it ensures that even if the physical wrecks deteriorate over time, their stories and the information they hold will be preserved.
Precisely. And this approach aligns perfectly with the idea of shipwrecks as time capsules. It's about recognizing their value, not just for their historical significance, but for their potential to contribute to our understanding of the past, present, and even the future. Think about it. These wrecks might hold clues about past climate conditions, marine ecosystems, and even ancient trade routes, information that could be invaluable for various scientific disciplines.
It's amazing to think that these submerged relics could be contributing to modern-day research in such diverse fields. It really speaks to the interconnectedness of knowledge and the importance of preserving these sites for future exploration and discovery.
Exactly. And it brings us back to that sense of wonder and curiosity we were talking about earlier. Shipwrecks, despite their tragic nature, have this remarkable ability to spark our imagination and inspire us to delve deeper into the mysteries of the past.
They remind us that history isn't just something we read about in textbooks. It's all around us, even hidden beneath the waves. It's a call to keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep uncovering the stories that connect us to the past and shape our understanding of the world around us.
Well said. And as we continue this deep dive, I'm eager to explore another fascinating aspect of shipwrecks that's often overlooked, their role in maritime folklore and mythology.
Oh, yes. The legends and tales that surround these sunken vessels. It's like a whole other layer of intrigue, isn't it?
Absolutely. It speaks to the deep-seated human fascination with shipwrecks, not just as historical artifacts, but as sources of mystery, adventure, and even a touch of the supernatural.
I can't wait to hear more. It feels like we're about to set sail into the realm of maritime lore.
Huh.
What kind of treasures will we uncover there? All right, so we're diving into the world of maritime folklore. It's amazing how shipwrecks, with their aura of tragedy and mystery, have become the foundation for so many myths and legends.
Well, it's like the human imagination. It just can't resist filling the void of the unknown with these fantastical stories, especially when it comes to the vast and unpredictable sea.
You're right, and those stories often seem to reflect our deepest fears and anxieties about the ocean. Its sheer size, its power, the hidden things lurking beneath the surface.
Precisely, and those fears often manifest in tales of ghost ships, haunted wrecks, and sea monsters that lie in wait for unsuspecting vessels. These stories have been passed down through generations of sailors,
Yeah.
becoming deeply embedded in maritime culture.
It's like a whole other world of storytelling exists alongside the historical accounts and scientific data. It makes exploring these shipwrecks even more captivating.
Absolutely, a shipwreck shrouded in tragedy and mystery. It becomes even more compelling when it's rumored to be haunted by the spirits of those lost at sea, or when legends arise about mythical creatures dragging the ship to its doom.
All those kinds of stories totally send shivers down my spine. It's like they tap into our primal fear of the unknown, the things that exist just beyond our understanding.
And that fear, combined with the inherent beauty and power of the sea, creates a potent mix that fuels our imagination and keeps those legends alive.
It makes me wonder if these stories also served a practical purpose,
Huh?
like cautionary tales for sailors,
Mm.
warning them about the dangers of the sea and the importance of respecting its power.
Oh, that's a very insightful point. Imagine a young sailor hearing stories about the ghostly apparition of a wrecked ship, or the monstrous kraken that could crush a vessel in its tentacles. Those tales would certainly instill a sense of caution and respect for the unpredictable nature of the ocean.
Right, it's a form of oral history,
Mm.
passing down valuable lessons and warnings through generations, even if those lessons are wrapped up in these fantastical narratives.
Exactly, and those narratives, while perhaps embellished over time, often hold kernels of truth, reflecting real dangers and historical events. They might be inspired by actual shipwrecks, fierce storms, or encounters with unusual marine life.
That's what makes maritime folklore so fascinating.
Mhm.
It's that blend of fact and fiction, history and imagination. It's like peering through a window into the collective psyche of seafaring communities throughout history.
It really is, and it reminds us that storytelling, it's a fundamental part of the human experience, a way for us to make sense of the world around us, process our fears, and connect with each other.
It's about finding meaning in the face of chaos,
Hmm.
creating order from the unpredictable.
Beautifully said. And I think that's something we can all relate to, whether we're sailors braving the open ocean or landlubbers fascinated by tales of maritime adventure. We all seek to understand the world around us and find our place within it.
Absolutely. And sometimes the best way to do that is through stories, through those shared narratives that connect us to each other, and to the vast tapestry of human experience.
So, as we conclude our deep dive into the world of Point Reyes shipwrecks, let's take a moment to appreciate the many layers of these submerged relics. They're not just historical artifacts, they're sources of scientific data, inspiration for art and literature, and vessels for timeless tales that continue to capture our imagination.
It's incredible how something lost beneath the waves can resonate so deeply with us on so many levels.
Hmm.
It speaks to the enduring power of history, the mysteries of the ocean, and the human need to tell stories and find meaning in the world around us.
I couldn't agree more. And as you continue to explore this topic, remember that every shipwreck holds a story waiting to be uncovered. a mystery waiting to be solved, and a connection to the past that can illuminate our present and inspire our future.
What a great way to put it. And to our listeners, I encourage you to delve deeper into the world of shipwrecks. Explore the stories they hold, and allow yourselves to be swept away by the mystery and wonder of these underwater time capsules. Who knows what treasures you might discover beneath the waves of your own curiosity.
Happy exploring! May your journeys be filled with fascinating discoveries and a profound appreciation for the enduring connection between humanity and the sea.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning,
There.
and keep diving deep.
Yeah.